Hey everybody, notice what's over my shoulder here? See it? That's right. We have a new project. Welcome to episode 14 of Composing with Jerry. We're going to be tackling this epic poem, Paradise Lost by John Milton. Actually, we're going to be attacking the illustrations that Gustave Doré did in relation to Paradise Lost. I'm interpreting Gustave Doré as he interpreted Milton. That's kind of, I'm a third party to this. So I did not read through the whole epic poem, but I knew that I was going to be starting at the beginning. And the very, very first illustration shown here is Satan being cast out of heaven with his rebellious angels with him. And it is very evocative. I love this illustration. It's really cool. I'm going to read for you actually, and I think I'll probably do this with each of the illustrations that I write, that I compose the tone poem for. I'm going to be reading from Paradise Lost. This is a reprint of the original 1861, I think, edition that Gustave Doré illustrated. And I'm just going to read you the part of the poem that is dealing with what's in the illustration. That way we can give some sort of context. Forgive me with my reading. I'm not really all that eloquent with this or whatever, but I'll show this on the page, on the screen, so that you don't have to sit there and look at me reading like this. But Paradise Lost. Of man's first disobedience and the fruit of that forbidden tree, whose mortal taste brought death into the world, and all our woe, with loss of Eden, till one greater man restore us and regain the blissful seat, seeing heavenly muse that on the secret top of Oreb or of Sinai didst inspire, that shepherd who first taught the chosen seed in the beginning how the heavens and the earth rose out of chaos, or if Sion hill delight thee more, and if Siloa and Siloa's brook that flowed fast by the oracle of God. I thence invoke thy aid to my adventurous song. The thing I like about this is, one, it's an iambic pentameter, but it doesn't rhyme, so it doesn't flow as easily as I would have preferred. But, bear with me. That with no middle flight, it intends to soar above the Aeonian mount, while it pursues things unattempted, yet in prose of rhyme. And chiefly thou, O Spirit, that dost prefer before all temples the upright heart and pure, instruct me, for thou knowest, thou from the first wast present, and with mighty wings outspread, dove-like satst brooding on the vast abyss, and madest it pregnant. What in me is dark, illumine. What is low, raise and support. That to the height of this great argument I may assert eternal providence, and justify the ways of God to men. Say first, for heaven hides nothing from thy view, nor the deep tract of hell. Say first, what cause moved our grandparents in that happy state, favored of heaven so highly, to fall off from their Creator and transgress his will for one restraint, lords of the world besides, who first seduced them to that foul revolt? The infernal serpent, he it was whose guile, stirred up with envy and revenge, deceived the mother of mankind, what time his pride had cast him out of heaven with all of his host of rebel angels, by whose aid, aspiring to set himself in glory above his peers, he trusted to have equaled the Most High. If he opposed, and with ambitious aim, against the throne and monarchy of God, raised impious war in heaven and battle proud, with vain attempt, him the almighty power hurled headlong flaming from the ethereal sky, with hideous ruin and combustion down to bottomless perdition, there to dwell in adamantine chains and penal fire. Who durst defy the omnipotent to arms, 9 times the space that measures day and night to mortal men? He, with his horde crew, lay vanquished, rolling in the fiery gulf, confounded though immortal. But his doom reserved him to more wrath, for now, he thought, both of lost happiness and lasting pain torments him. Round he throws his baleful eyes, that witnessed huge affliction and dismay, mixed with abhorred pride and steadfast hate. At once, as far as angels can, he views the dismal situation waste and wild, a dungeon horrible, on all its sides round, as one great furnace flamed, yet from those flames no light, but rather darkness visible, served only to discover sights of woe, regions of sorrow, doleful shades, where peace and rest can never dwell. Hope never comes, that comes to all, but torture without end still surges, and a fiery deluge, fed with ever-burning sulfur unconsumed. Such place eternal justice had prepared for those rebellious. Here, their prison ordained in utter darkness, and their portion set as far removed from God and light of heaven as from center thrice to the utmost pole. Oh, how unlike the place from whence they fell. There, the companions of his fall, overwhelmed with floods and whirlwinds of tempestuous fire, he soon discerns, and weltering by his side, one next to him in power, and next in crime, long after known in Palestine, and named Beelzebub, to whom the archenemy, and thence in heaven called Satan, with bold words breaking the horrid silence, thus began. So that's from Milton. He's describing everything, and that illustration from Doré is giving you Satan being cast out of heaven. So we have the context based on the text. We have what's happening in the illustration, and now it's my job to interpret that and provide a musical tapestry for that. So I came up with some cursory notes, just in kind of a big picture idea, right? I'm kind of approaching this from more of a thematic type of approach at this point, coming up with like leitmotifs and themes that represent different characters or different places. And so the large big picture was, I know I need to come up with some sort of epic battle music. And then, like with all wars, you have a moment afterward, the aftermath, where there's sorrow and anguish and suffering from what happened with the war. Now, I honestly, from my own understanding and my own kind of assumption, is this was far less a battle with swords and knives and that kind of thing. This was more of a battle of philosophies, and where you had Satan, who was so persuasive that he had an entire host of his fellow angels follow him in rebellion. But if you think about it, I mean, if you've ever been part of a family that's had some sort of schism that's happened with you, it's a very sad thing, because you know that you're not going to be associating with your family members the way that you did before, because of this wall now that's between you, which in this case, the wall of rebellion. And so that incredible suffering, that kind of anguish of knowing you're not going to be with those people anymore. And then also I need to, there's going to be music of him getting cast out, flaming, down to hell, and describing what hell is like. And that did a pretty good job. They talked about sulfurous fumes and all those, tempestuous whirlwinds and that kind of thing happening. But the fact that it was also very dark. And I'm not sure if that meant actual light, absence of light, or just the fact that they were so far away, removed from heaven, that they couldn't feel that influence. So I don't know. But anyway, that's like the big picture idea. So I came up with a list of themes or leitmotifs that I need to come up with. I need to compose, and hopefully I'll be doing that this week. I need to come up with a heaven theme describing what heaven's like. A Satan theme, an angel theme, and then the battles, the action that's happening with the battles. The aftermath and weeping. I'll probably come up with 8 or 16 measures of kind of the core ideas of what that would sound like musically. I need to come up with a falling from heaven theme. And of course I need to come up with a theme for hell. And so this is how I'm going to approach this is going to be kind of like the chicken or the egg. What comes first? Do I come up with just the leitmotifs first, and then kind of their own elements, and then provide musical context that gets that establishes their connectivity, or do I start off organically and to start off with like the heaven, and give that kind of opening atmosphere that then I'll introduce these themes as I go? Well, don't know. It all depends on where that inspiration hits me and how I want to do that. Either way, that's going to happen. I need to have the context. I need to have the themes. So my goal in my mind right now is I want to come up with these themes, so that we have some contrast and some descriptive things that you'll be able to recognize as you hear them played throughout the entirety of this series. But the thing is also we're going to be giving this context so that there is some fluidity between these themes, and so yeah, it's going to be kind of a challenge to do that. But I think that I'm probably going to come up with at least the first 16 to 32 bars of what heaven is going to be like. Tranquil, peaceful, very kind of harmonious, until it gets interrupted by the rebellion. And that's I think that's the context of the beginning of this, right? But then I'll come up with some themes for, like I said, I'll come up with the leitmotifs for all these different characters and settings. Whether or not I have completely fleshed out those themes by the time that we meet up next week, I'm not sure, but that's my goal. I'm hoping I can work a lot faster than I did, of course, with the Brazen Serpent. The ideas are kind of starting to pop in my head. I haven't written any of the music yet, but these are ideas that are percolating, and these big themes, these big ideas. How do you present that musically? And that's kind of what I'm at right now. So we'll see you guys next week, and hopefully I'll have a lot of stuff to show you, and we can move on from there. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next week.